Cruising on 7, brought to you by
Capital GMC Buick Cadillac and Capital Ford Lincoln are two of the most celebrated dealerships in the country. Plus, Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's largest body shop network. Capital Auto Mall on the corner of Rochdale and Pasqua in Regina.
C19 television. I've got with me Darren Beasley, and Darren's been around the car world for a long time. As you can see, we've got a mic here, and not that I don't like Daryl, but
yeah, exactly.
We're just doing it a new way here. So Darren, tell us a little bit about what's happening in the car world right now, and it's end of May here, and we've got something going on today, but how are you guys making out?
Yeah, it is a little different in 2020. I've been finding, and I think everybody else has been finding, sitting at home doing nothing is not how we're wired, and you sitting at home all winter and hope that come spring and summer you'll be able to get your cars out. And unfortunately, that's not been the case this year. There's been quite a few events that have been canceled. The Dragons Car Show in Saskatoon, Majestics here in Regina. Today would have been the Collectors Car Club car show, and unfortunately, due to everything that's going on, that's canceled. So our club, the Saskatchewan Ford Mercury Club, has decided that we're just going to do a socially distanced cruise. Today we're going to go through Rollo and then through Moose Jaw, grab some either late lunch or early supper, kind of get a chance to get everybody to get their vehicles out with maybe, I hope by later in this summer, get things back to normal. But in the short term, long term, this is kind of what we're faced with, unfortunately.
I kind of like this though, Darren, because you haven't given up, you know, the situation as far as the car world is. You're making the best of what is a challenging circumstance. I like that.
Yeah, you're right. It's either that or fall asleep on the couch today, which isn't necessarily a plan. Like I said, you can do that in January because you got nothing else to do. But today, yeah, it gives everybody a chance to get their car out, which I think a lot of times, which is, you know, maybe one of the downsides of a car show, is you just drive and park, and that's about all you do. This one here, everybody's got the opportunity to get their car out, drive it a little bit, and see everybody else driving their car. And we're hoping, you know, we opened this up, besides our club members, we opened this up to quite a few other car clubs, so we're hoping it's a good turnout. And again, if it works well, who knows? Again, we only had one plan for the year, but that's not to say we couldn't do more.
Yeah, no, I like that. You know, not to put you a skill testing question, but how many car clubs can you think of that you might have touched base with?
Well, it's a good question. Maybe a dozen.
A dozen?
Probably in the south.
Really?
So whether or not they necessarily, you know,
show up, or
yeah, I was going to say have some representation here. I think everybody was probably in the same boat as us, where, you know, there wasn't really a lot of other options or alternatives.
Yes, yes.
And some of them may be, you know, large in nature, and some of them might just be a few members. But again, it gives you a chance to get your car out. Excuse of anything, just to, you know, get together and kind of talk shop. A lot of the people that I would have seen this spring, you know, I've kind of not seen, so I don't really know what they did all winter, maybe what projects they had on the go, those kinds of things. So even today, 6 feet away, we'll be able to get a chance to kind of catch up somewhat.
That sounds good. So the cruise today is going to go south to Corinne?
South, yeah, so we're going to go south on 6 to Rollo, and then we're just going to cut over Highway 39, sort of the back road to Moose Jaw.
Yeah.
And then spend some time there having a quick bite to eat, and then I guess drive back on the number 1 to back here to Regina.
That sounds really good. So tell us a little bit about the car you got. Usually I know you for Mustangs.
Yeah, Mustangs.
So
yeah, I'm into either horses or birds, I guess. So this is on all the cars. So this one's a bird. It's the second Thunderbird that we've had in 30 years, I guess. So this one's a 2003, and it was kind of a unique model. This one, they call it like a retro bird.
Yes.
And they made this model between 02 to 05. They made approximately 62,000 in the 4 years. And 03 was the second year that they had been out. 02 was the debut year, which was the most common. About 32,000 of the 62,000 were made.
They were hot sellers at the beginning there, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. And it's kind of a unique car. It was designed originally and this is kind of, it'll tax some people's memories, but
yeah, go ahead.
Ford at one time owned Jaguar for about 20 years.
Yes, that's right.
Jaguar had a mid-size sedan called an S-Type.
Yes.
And then Lincoln had a model that was called an LS.
Oh,
so this
right,
is actually based off the chassis of the Lincoln LS and the Jaguar S-Type.
Okay. This wasn't made in Great Britain or anything.
No, and that's what's kind of unique is those were four-door sedans. This is obviously a two-door convertible. So the chassis itself started out life is underneath the skin, way underneath the skin, is a four-door. They then made it a two-door, cut the roof off, of course.
Okay.
But it's the same engine, same transmission, same rear end as in the Jag and in the Lincoln.
What kind of engine is that?
So it's a 3.9, which is kind of a unique engine, all aluminum V8.
Wow.
And it's pretty sophisticated for the time.
Wow.
Variable valve timing, which wasn't very common on North American cars.
Yes.
5-speed automatic.
So it had a bit of European, British influence there.
Yeah, a little bit of some exotic machinery, and then something unique to Ford for the time. It's an independent rear suspension.
Oh,
which is very much like a sports car of European or a Corvette.
Yeah.
Where, and what they mean by independent rear is there's not a live axle, in other words, a big tube that runs through the back end.
Yes,
Each corner has its own CV joint, and each corner then is independent of each other. A lot better ride and handling, a lot smoother.
Okay, yeah, you don't get that, you're not kind of that box thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I mean, nobody would ever, it's 280 horsepower.
That's pretty good for a little car like this. Holy
smokes. Now,
smoke.
it's a little porky. It's about 3,800 pounds, so it's not light.
3,800 pounds?
3,800
Where did they
pounds.
put all that bloody weight?
Exactly, and considering, it's a relatively big car. It's bigger than a Mustang, but yet it's smaller inside. It's only a two-seater. And the trunk itself is quite small.
Where's all the volume? Just in the body? Is that what you say?
Yeah, you look at the front end. I guess there's a fair amount of overhang, and then the back end. And this one is a convertible, but it also comes with a factory hardtop, which does not fold and does not go into the trunk.
Did you get the?
We did get the hardtop. Yeah,
okay.
This was kind of
some of the early Corvettes had that too, and Mercedes, a few other ones. Yes.
Yeah. So this one here, we've got the hardtop off in storage right now, and it's heavy. It's about 90 pounds.
What is the color? What do we call it?
So this one's kind of unique, and this is what attracted us to the car. So in all 4 model years, from 02 to 05, every year they had 2 colors that they did more, they called them featured colors.
Okay.
And what it was an homage to the original 567 Baby Birds.
Oh, right.
So they took an original color from those 3 model years.
Okay.
And they put a little bit of a modern twist.
Okay.
And then they came out on these cars.
Okay.
So this one here, like I said, is an 03.
Okay.
And in 57, they had a color called Star Mist Blue.
Okay.
Which, if you were to park a 57 Star Mist Blue beside this car, they would be virtually identical.
Oh, really?
And,
okay.
And that was kind of unique. So every year, so 2, 3, 4, and 5, as I mentioned, they took the original colors, did a little bit of a twist. So this one at night, which you can't really tell right now, but at night's got a little bit of pearl in it.
Oh, really?
Which the original wouldn't have had any pearl. More of a base color.
Okay.
This one at night changes the color a little bit slightly.
When you say pearl, it means in a paint scheme and the composition of paint, does that mean it's got a little bit of white or shiny?
Yeah, a little bit of a shiny white, kind of makes the color pop a little bit.
Yeah.
And like I said, you wouldn't notice it today, but at night it's got quite a different look to it. So this one is they made 947 in this color.
947.
Not very many. And the other color, so as I mentioned, every year there was 2 feature colors. So the other color in 03 was called Thunderbird Gray.
Thunderbird Gray.
And it's more of a charcoal color.
Okay.
And then the interior on that one is a tan, kind of a brown, like almost like a buckskin color. This one also has the 2-tone interior option.
Oh, what's
so the seats are black and white.
Black and white, okay.
Half the steering wheel is white, and then the shifter knob is white.
Yeah.
So that was an option.
Why a Thunderbird for you, Derek?
Well, my wife really liked the car. And remember these cars when they first came out. And my dad, when they first came out, had a real soft spot for these cars as well.
Yes.
And unfortunately, he's passed on now. So somewhere, I'm sure he's smiling, going, well, you got the car that I would have liked to have had. Yeah, so the 2 is a little different than the 3, 4s, and 5s. They upped the horsepower in the 3, 4s, and 5s. They made a few suspensions.
What did they get the horsepower up to?
Well, originally it was 252 in 02, and then it got to 280 from 3, 4, and 5.
Okay, so it moves along pretty good then.
One of the early, again, depending on how deep you want to get into it, one of the criticisms was that it at 252 it was a little lackadaisical compared to maybe a Mercedes SLK or a BMW Z3 or a Z4.
So those are the ponies that they were racing against.
So it's comparable vehicles for that era.
Okay.
So they upped the horsepower in 3, 4, and 5. They also made some little bit of chassis differences. It was a little bit, because again, it was started out as a sedan that they cut the roof off.
Oh.
So it was a little bit loose and a little bit flexible as a convertible as compared to a hardtop.
Okay.
And you can definitely tell when you drive the car with the roof up versus the roof down. The car actually is, you can feel the whole car kind of shudder and shake a little bit.
Oh.
And I've had a few Mustang convertibles that are much, much tighter.
Wow.
Some of them have been designed as convertibles from the outset.
Yes,
so this one here, I've driven 02s, and one of the things that they did also in 03 is they went back through the engine, made the changes I mentioned. They also went back to the chassis, and they tightened it up a little bit, made a few tweaks. The interior is a little bit different than
kind
a
of
2.
Pulled it together a bit tighter.
Yeah, just to tighten it up and reduce that vibration. It's again, it's a much different car if you drive them. They're all made in Wixom, Michigan, which is basically by Detroit.
Okay.
Which to that point had been making Thunderbirds and Lincolns.
Okay.
And at the time that this car was being made there, they were also making the Ford GT, like the two-seater sports car that's 500 plus horsepower and now about $300,000 or $400,000. So
the Ford GT.
They
GT40.
They would have been called GT40 originally, and then Ford didn't get the name the second go around, so they just called them GTs.
Why didn't they get the name?
Didn't want to spend the money. Somebody else had bought the name from Ford. Ford would have had to pay to get the name back, and they felt that
it's sort of like buying your logo or your .com or whatever it is.
So somebody else had the trademark and the copyright.
Somebody got smart.
Ford didn't want to pay it, so they just thought, you know what, we'll just call it a GT. Everybody knows what it is anyways.
Surprising you could lose that. I mean, when you build it.
Well, what had happened was when Ford got out of racing, they actually sold the name rights to another company. So then that company then became another company which retained the name rights, because they still make kit cars today and reproductions of the originals.
So they cashed in then,
that they call GT40s. So I mean, the thinking I think was that Ford's a big company, they'll pay back in in 03, and Ford decided no. So this one on the front end, a little bit unique, is on the American models they came with fog lights in the grille.
Yes.
The Canadian ones came with just covers there.
Okay.
And then, because they had two models, they had a base model and a premium. This one's the premium. It also comes with the chrome wheels. There's a few other little tweaks in the interior that was a little bit different than the standard model. And in Canada, they only ever offered the standard model. They never offered the premium, unfortunately.
Oh, look at that.
It looks reasonably clean.
It almost looks like a Mustang presentation in a way.
It is. It's kind of a little bit unique underneath. Modern vehicles today certainly look a whole lot different than the old ones. Everything's covered in plastic and the engine cover itself, but it's a little tricky. Half or a good chunk of the engine's underneath the cowl. So if you need to do any service work on the back of the engine,
boy, you're in.
You better practice some contortionist skills, because it's hard to get back in there.
So this is a V8.
V8, yeah, and that was, again, if you ever see the earlier ones, that's the one thing on the side of the fender. There'll be a small little V8 fender badge.
Well, this one's got a V8.
Right, and that was on the 3, 4s, and 5s. The 02 didn't have that little fender badge on there.
Okay.
So if you ever see one in traffic, just a quick way to identify what year it is look for the V8 badge.
So what happened with the Thunderbird brand? It just to kind of...
Well, some of it was politics. Some of it, I would argue, Ford made too many of them. The intent was to kind of make this a boutique, sort of a low production car. And what was happening, if you go back in a little bit of, give you some financial history, Canadian dollar was terrible in 02 to the US dollar.
Okay.
So a lot of the Canadian cars went south, and a lot of the dealers were clamoring for a car that they could sell, because they knew they were going to, sell them well, and they were marked up over sticker. So this car, Canadian dollars in 02, was in the mid-60s as far as thousands, which is a significant amount of money.
That's a lot of money.
And so what ended up happening then is a lot of dealers ordered the cars in, thinking they would cash in. They added another maybe 10 or 15,000 to the price, and then some got stuck. Some were able to sell them down in the U.S. So, and then the ones that ended up with them for a considerable period. So Ford, what they did then in 03 is they made the roof an option, whereas it had been standard in 02. they took a little content out in some other areas and they dramatically lowered the price.
Oh.
So what ended up happening then is if you had a 3, which was arguably a better car, it was less money than the 2. And if you were a dealer and you still had O2s there, why would you order O3s?
Oh, so they kind of backstopped themselves.
Yeah, and then they had some corporate politics. The car itself, that plant was being closed, so they would have had to ship production somewhere else.
Oh.
And I think if anything else, next thing you know, somebody figures it's time to axe it, and they axed it.
It's too bad. I wonder, in closing here, do you think you ever see the Thunderbird brand come back again?
Well, you know what? They're bringing the Bronco back this year after, well, 20 plus years. Ford has a way of sort of regurgitating some of the brand names. They do it with Mustangs all the time. You know, they bring back the Boss 302 after 40
because
plus
Thunderbird's
years.
got a cachet still as a follower.
It absolutely does.
Yeah. I mean,
so could you bring it back? You could. The problem that they're going to have today is not a lot of people are buying cars anymore compared to trucks and SUVs. So your market's that much smaller. And again, if you're following Ford history right now, they've announced within the next 2 years they'll be out of car production in North America.
Car production,
other than the Mustang.
Yeah.
So just SUVs and trucks.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately for some people that don't want to drive an SUV or a truck, they're going to have to go elsewhere if you're looking to buy a car.
So we got Barry Anderson and his wife. What's your wife's name?
Wendy.
Wendy. So tell us, where are you from, Barry?
Saskatoon, Bob.
You drove down to here for this?
We did.
Wow.
Yeah. We're actually a member of the club here.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I've met you before. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So what time do you have to get up this morning to get down here?
Well, actually, we got up at 6. We're seniors, so that it takes a little bit longer for us to kind of get it together.
Oh, that's good, though. That's good. So what are you driving here, Barry?
This is a 40th anniversary, 2004 Mustang Rag. It was purchased new in 2004 from Jubilee Ford in Saskatoon.
You bought it new, or?
We bought it brand new, yeah.
Oh, this is you.
Yeah.
This has been your baby then.
It has. I turned 60 in 2004, and we were looking for something that we could spend time together. If you check out the license plate at the back there, it's our golf cart.
Oh, is it?
T4 FORA2.
Oh, it's golf? Okay, yeah.
So,
Patrick's got it back there. He's looking at
check
it.
out the license plate. So we basically do car shows and play golf, and we're a member of the BC Club in Radium, out of Radium. And,
oh, really?
Yeah,
so you get down to Radium Hot Springs down there, huh?
It's once a year. It's the 3rd Saturday, and there's usually 1,200 cars.
1,200 cars?
Yeah. And it's right on the practice tee or the driving range.
That's a lot of cars. There's people there, but...
It's a really good one.
Yeah.
Wow.
It actually stretches right back from the actual tee boxes right to the 18th.
When do they have that show at Radium?
The 3rd Saturday of September.
We're here with Adrian Dennis, and you've got a Mustang GT350. What year is it? You brought your brother along, look like.
Yeah. It's a 2017 Shelby GT350.
Wow, beautiful looking car.
Thank you.
So what is the color? I know it's yellow, but they always have kind of cool names for these colors.
Well, this particular one's called Triple Tri-Coat Yellow.
Triple Tri-Coat Yellow.
Yeah, it's not a throwback color to the 60s or 70s.
It's not?
No.
Oh, okay, so it's one of their new colors kind of thing. So there's a gentleman behind you. He looks like he has a car pretty similar to you.
Yeah, that's a Mustang GT.
Ah.
That's a 2017
Do you know him?
GT. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know Neil. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your car. What's it got in it for power plants and all that stuff?
Power plant's the flat plane crank 5.2 V8.
Okay.
They're rated at 526 horsepower and 429 foot-pounds of torque.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the torque's at 4750 RPM, so you get all the power out of this car at a very low RPM.
Oh, really? So there's a lot. Oh, you probably can feel that pretty good then, huh?
You can feel it real quick. Yeah. You can
so
feel
where
it
did you
real
buy
quick.
your car?
Actually, I work at Bennett Dunlop Ford. I ordered the car, and I ended up with some back issues and wasn't able to take it, but it was there when I was done, and I was able to finish purchasing the car and keeping it.
Okay, wow. So what did you all order with this car? What did you do?
Well, the standard equipment on the Shelby GT350 in 2017 is what they call the track pack.
Okay.
So that gives you rear end coolers, a bunch of coolers up front for the engine oil, steering, magnet ride. So so it can actually adjust how this car's suspension handles.
Oh.
It's a factory-built track car, like course car.
Oh, really?
Right, so it's designed for that purpose. And then the option on this car is the over-the-car race stripes in black with the white trim. And this has what they call the technology package.
Technology package.
So that gives you the rear camera, navigation system, dual zone climate control. So it's got a few luxuries.
So techie package
Yes.
kind of thing. Okay, gotcha. Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So when people say Recaro seats, is that a manufacturer? Is that
Yes.
it
Yeah.
sounds like an
Yeah.
Italian one, huh?
Well, Recaros have been in a lot of race cars over the years.
Yes, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I actually, embarrassed to say, I don't know where they actually started from, but Recaros, the way they're designed, they hold you in the car, they hug you.
It's kind of like a pit.
Yeah, you don't move around at all in that car.
So what's the horsepower putting out on this car?
It's 526.
Oh.
And it's a flat plane crank V8.
Have you ever used all 526?
Yeah. No, I haven't.
It's
But
nice.
It's got features like launch control.
Launch control.
Yeah.
What the heck's that? That sounds like something in Apollo
You can
mission.
program the RPMs to set at a certain point, and then you just slide off the clutch, and then the car launches.
Wow.
So rather than popping the clutch, revving it, popping the clutch.
Do you have
it does
little
it for
wheelie
you.
bars in the back?
No, I don't.
Gee.
The other thing, line lock, factory line lock, so you can lock your front wheels, warm up your rear tires when you want.
Oh, so this can be a
you've got
bit of a
good traction.
dragster then too?
It can be. It's got a normal mode, track mode, drag mode, and wet mode.
Wow.
And depending on the
And that's all
modes-
controlled through a computer?
Yes, it is.
It's an automatic?
It's a manual. It's a
It's a
six-speed
manual?
manual transmission.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
the new
it's-
GT500 coming out is an automatic with a dual clutch with paddle shifts.
So when that computer is saying drag mode, it's changing the way the engine is performing?
Yes. So
Okay.
your sport controls change, your fuel deliveries changed, your traction systems changed, so it can grab.
Wow. Think about the engineering that's behind
Yes.
that. Holy
They've come a
dynamite.
long ways.
Holy smokes. You're flying like a jet engine almost then.
It's a fun car to drive.
Oh, jeez. Oh, that's fantastic. Thanks for doing this.
Capital GMC Buick Cadillac and Capital Ford Lincoln are two of the most celebrated dealerships in the country. Plus, Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's largest body shop network. Capital Auto Mall on the corner of Rochdale and Pasqua in Regina.
So tell us a little bit about your car. I think I've talked to you about this car over the years, but you know, it's been a while since I've looked at this Olds Holiday.
Well, it's a 1955. It's, of course, an Olds Holiday 88, or they call it a Super 88, and that's what the brand name of the engine was, actually.
I love that. Super 88 Olds. That always
Yeah.
conjured up something, you know, that there's
That's
something
right.
special here.
Well, it was kind of the, you know, the time of the year it was the year's rockets and everything.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And
yeah.
they called it a rocket.
Well, there's
88.
probably there's jets on the front.
And there's actually a rocket on the back trunk.
Rocket 88.
But more importantly, it's a four-door hardtop.
Yes.
It's the first year GM built a four-door hardtop
Oh, really?
like that.
And this is a 55
Five. Yeah.
four-door hardtop.
And a four-door hardtop. I'm not sure why, because they built two-door hardtops for a number of years prior to.
Well,
like
maybe
that.
there was a little challenge. Who knows? You know, you got to put that extra door in the back there
Yeah, I
and
guess
everything.
so, and frameless and everything.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that. It's an original car. Comes out of the Bethune area,
Wow.
like that.
Has it been painted?
Just the bottom gray has.
Oh, because I was looking at this top here. It's got kind of that patina, like it's been around for a long time.
Yeah, it's got a few marks and scratches.
Oh, but that's part.
That's right. Part of the game like
That's
that.
the beauty.
That's right. It's a beautiful driving car, beautiful riding car. In 2005,
Yes.
when was the Saskatchewan Centennial year, I used this car to go all around the province. There was about 108 of us went with
Oh, really?
antique cars all the way around the province.
Really?
And never missed a beat. It was absolutely perfect. One
Gee,
flat tire, I think.
How many miles have you got on it, Gordon?
86,000.
That's not bad, though. You know,
No,
really.
not
You know.
really.
And so it's a V8. What's the engine?
The 324.
324.
Yeah.
Buick, Oldsmobile and Buick always had such odd numbers.
An odd numbered one, yeah.
I wonder what the block was really. Do you think it was their own creation for the Oldsmobile?
It was one that they had created just after the war.
Okay.
And they kept opening it up and punching it out a little more.
Okay.
55, 56 was the last year for the 324. Then they went to the 364, and then into the early 60s, the 394.
Like a Ford number, 394.
Yeah, 394 like that.
Somebody had to have a little bit of haruski to own one.
The fellow that I bought it from, the original owner, actually.
Oh, really?
And he was the Implement Dealership International, I believe, in Bethune.
Okay.
And,
okay.
Actually, he just passed away here a few years ago.
Really?
Like that. So
you're lucky you pried that away from him.
I did. He was my next door neighbor for many, many years.
Oh, so you saw the car.
So I saw the car, and I always said, you know, Roy, if you're ever going to sell it, I would like first dibs on it. So the story goes, which was actually quite true. He said, well, you know what, you better bring your checkbook and a bottle of whiskey over. And that was the deal, actually.
Well, you're a smart man there,
yeah.
Gord.
So it's just kind of, it's a beautiful driving car.
What do they call that, the ribbing or whatever it is, that's silver?
Yeah, that silver knitting almost.
Yeah,
like that.
just beautiful. And the cloth kind of insert with it too.
Yep.
You know, it's you could tell that this was a fancy car, and did it had a radio, a special?
It's got a radio in it and everything, yep.
No air though, huh?
No air, no.
Yeah, that was a little more rare, having air in cars like that.
They were available, but just pretty rudimentary at the time yet.
Yeah,
but they were around.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us on Cruising on 7, Gord. On 7. As you can see, the cars are going out to Kareen and over to Moose Jaw. It's been a great second show of the season. Hey, I love that Mustang. Hey, we'll see you next week. Take care. Thanks for joining us on Cruising on 7, and I'm Bob Friedrich. Take care, Gord.
Capital GMC Buick Cadillac and Capital Ford Lincoln are two of the most celebrated dealerships in the country. Plus, Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's largest body shop network. Capital Auto Mall on the corner of Rochdale and Pasqua in Regina.